Hello and welcome to Gundam Customs Review of Boku no Hero Academia Chapter 115. Now this week's chapter of Boku no Hero Academia starts off slightly different than most chapters, as we are introduced to a new-ish character, it seems. Now with this character, he has a scar right down the middle of his forehead, spiky-ish to shaggy-ish hair, and smokes. Now, at this moment, he more or less at the very beginning of the chapter starts smoking, looking out the window, saying he kind of despises everyone having their, good job, or their jobs, going to and from work, having average lives, and being good people. Now, with this, he's also mentioned that there are, the bad things, such as All Might kind of going down, Endeavor becoming the #1 hero, All Might being practically who All Might was, the most powerful superhero, like Superman, being replaced with Batman. Now, in our universe, where we watch the comics and movies, people love Batman just as much as they do Superman. But if you think about it, in Gotham and a lot of different places, Batman isn't really looked at as a great guy. He's more looked at as a vigilante or someone who doesn't really obey the law. Now, with this, personality-wise, I feel it would be as if Superman disappeared in the DC universe, or stepped down, or did something, became Clark Kent for the rest of his life, and Batman became the #1 hero and the main hero. So with this, it's kind of like Superman had all these superpowers, speed, lasers, practically everything he has, which attributes him to Superman. Impenetrable skin, super strength, breathing in space. Now, on the other hand, you have Batman, who has, the utility belt and karate. In comparison, if kryptonite was not existent, Superman would kick Batman's butt, because Superman would have overwhelming power against Batman. Now with this is similar to how All Might and Endeavor are, because Endeavor is mainly a fire-based hero who is quite arrogant, second hero, #2 hero in the world of Boku no Hero Academia. You have All Might, who's practically like Superman. He steps down, and Endeavor stands up. Now, I don't know if my analogy of Batman and Superman made it much sense to you guys. I hope it did, because I really don't want to confuse you guys. But with this, Endeavor is the new #1 hero. And with that, it's a big gap between the two heroes. Now with this, we actually get, people more or less kind of knowing that this is like this. Villains are kind of getting this, sense of, we can do whatever we want now because All Might's gone. No fear, man. But, with this, you actually have this newish, what seems to be a new character, kind of going outside after he watches the TV, kind of mumbles to himself about something else and kind of talking to himself. Then, as he's smoking outside, a criminal comes out of a place with banks, or with, the register and the counter for what seems to be a gas station. I'm not 1,000% sure, but with this, he starts to run off, and he's like, "Come and try to catch me, hero." And the hero comes up, does his best, kind of "Stop it!" And what the heroes normally do. With this, he gets hit by a second villain. Yep. And it seems that with All Might going, more criminals have kind of been rising up, and they're more or less doing what the Hero Association's trying to do with the heroes, and they're ganging up. Now, a lot of them are getting funded or are, morale boosted because of the League of Villains. Now, with this, we find out that this mysterious character has a connection to the League of Villains. Now, with this, you also find out that he knows Dabi, and that all the villains are kind of spread out within the town, kind of raising the ranks and recruiting people into the villain league. Now, with this, the character we've been focusing on this entire chapter kind of starts like going haywire against himself, kind of arguing with himself, kind of just contradicting himself. And we actually find out, because he's like, I'm about to duplicate. If I put the mask on, I'll stay one. With this, we actually find out that he's Jin, aka Twice. The guy who has the mask, which is half cut, who cloned Dabi. Now, with this, he's more or less, he gives us his life story, which is practically, he was kind of troublesome at some point. With his quirk, he kind of copied himself, made his own little gang. He was the boss of the gang. They did stuff, I'm guessing like petty crimes, like theft and all that. But with this, they started to infight, and all saying they were the original. Now, with this, he gets cut in the forehead, and practically everyone else starts to, like, kind of fight, and boom. This one's all that's left. Now, with this, we see, puddles of blood and some kind of clear fluid stuff. With this, we also, find out he's probably got some multiple personality disorder, because it seems that all of them thought they were the original. So, in my opinion, I think his quirk doubling works like this. Say I remember from birth to now. Say I clone myself. That clone would remember from here, or from birth to now, plus, say, if I'm the boss, I'm just lazily sitting down watching TV or doing something like that. I'll remember this. Say that clone goes out and picks a fight with a whole bunch of people, gets drugs, does stuff like that. That clone has a different memory of the time between that than the original. So, with this, how can you tell which one's the original? That's probably what his problem was, because they were all probably like, I remember this, and this, all the way up to when he split himself. Now, with this, he may have lost control of them, or they just wanted to be the main one, because I'm not really 100% sure what's with this quirk. It's intriguing, yes, but it's quite confusing what happened between him and his clones. I know they wanted to see who was the original, but it's still kind of stupid, because even if they wanted to be the original, all of them, even if they broke or had a bad time, they could probably separate from each other and become totally different people. And also, since they're all dead, maybe that caused personality disorder, because maybe they all had different experiences, maybe some messed with like drugs and stuff, or some got all these different things could have happened to these clones, and when they dissipated, they probably came back to the original and made him crazy, or maybe he's just crazy in general. Now, with this, we have him go searching, and that group of villains that attacked the hero before are now kind of sort of mashed up into drums and into a car and kind of destroyed and killed. Or, I'm not sure if they're killed or if they're just like... But with this, we find out there's like 3-ish looking supervillains there, where we have a guy with a plague doctor's mask, a guy who has like big metal arms similar to Frankie from One Piece, and this other character. Now, all 3 of them could probably, or most likely actually, are going to probably be in the League of Villains. Now, with this, I wonder what their roles are going to be, because theory time. I really like the original villains from the second group of League of Villains, because the first group of League of Villains was just really um Tomura and Kurogiri, practically, with those bunch of thug kind of characters. So that's kind of the first gen of the League of Villains. The second one was Dabi, Toga, and all of them. Now, I like them because they were influenced by Stain. And they more or less stood up, even though they were kind of sort of going to be prosecuted because of this, because obviously All Might was still there at the time. Now, with this, you also have them all mentioning the fact that they want to follow Stain's ideals. Stain's ideals was not really villainy, it was to have heroes be heroes, and not to have this corruptish government system where heroes get paid to do this, and they only do it really to get paid. Like Mount Lady, who, in the very first episode of the anime, kind of just butts in, boom, and is like, oh, steal all the glory. Ah, yeah, I'm sexy. But with this, we actually have these characters being slightly different, because we've seen this with the camp arc. Shuichi was like, I don't want to attack Deku because he was spared by Stain. Now, with this, maybe when they bring more and more villains in, we'll probably get some more higher-up villains. But this Plague Doctor guy who talks about illness, he may try to be one of the top advisors of Tomura, because Dabi doesn't really seem to work with Tomura well at the very beginning. Now, I don't know about now. But with this, I feel like there may be a falling out within the villain association later on. Not like 2-3 chapters from now. I mean like maybe 20-30 chapters from now. Because I feel like if this series is going to last for very long, which I hope it does. I really love this series. But with this, we actually don't have, like, what am I trying to say? You know, characters are getting so much depth in them, and they're not completely evil. Like, for instance, the beginning of this chapter made me think about this because of the fact that Jin is actually actually talking like a normal person, just kind of more or less of a thuggish kind of person, but he's not evil. Like, he's not complete evil. He's bad, but he's not evil. He's not like, yeah, I go out and kill people every day just for the heck of it. He's more or less like, I disdain these people, but he wouldn't do anything against them, it seems. Or at least at the moment. And he'd watch, like, criminals get away and stuff. Most bystanders would do that. Well, he kind of looked more relaxed than most bystanders would. But with this, I feel like Horikoshi is putting a lot of, like, likable and hateable aspects into these villains, as well as the heroes. Now, with this, I could be completely wrong, and Dabi, Shuichi, Kenji, Toga, Jin, all of them would try to just stay with the League of Villains and be up until, like, they either get captured or killed or something of that nature later on in the series by the main groups of heroes. Now, with this, I'm still thinking that even if one of them got captured, they'd probably turn if it was one of the Stain Stain villains. Like, you have Stain, who's more or less of an really bad anti-hero. He's more on the darker side of it, because really if I'm not mistaken, he doesn't really attack average people, like normal people or people like you or me. He attacked heroes who were more or less doing it for the fame and fortune. Now, with this, there's the villains who say they want to follow Stain's road. Now, if they truly want to do this, which I feel Shuichi may actually do, because he's one of those characters I feel may switch sides. Now, with this, I'm going to move on. I'm sorry for rambling about this. But with this, we actually go on to have All Might in prison with All for One. Yeah, and they're gonna be talking. Gulp. I'm guessing it's about how he found Tomura, because as we all know, Tomura is um Shimura Nana? Shimura Nana's grandson. Now I feel like All Might may want to know how All for One found Tomura. Or if he knew that Tomura was her grandson, but I'm guessing he did. So I want to know if he's been planning on using Tomura against the heroes, and maybe in the end, you could get Tomura to join the good side, which I don't at the very moment see Tomura ever changing sides. Now, Dabi, Shuichi, Toga, and Jin are four characters I could see changing sides. Now, they could probably change back, like play a Starscream from Star Wars. Or Transformers. Starscream, Star Wars. I'm so sorry. But with this, like, I really want to know what's going to happen in not just the next couple chapters, but in the series in general, because I feel like Horikoshi is putting stuff like this, just a little bit of more depth and backstory and layers to these characters, such as Jin, that we may actually get some pretty decent arcs later on in the future, as like you may have one where Jin actually tries to become a hero and he's fighting between his dark and his good side, but then he kind of gets taken over by his dark still. That one seems like a common one that happens, but like I feel like Jin probably will stay bad most of the series, mainly because I really think he feels like most of the League of Villains are kind of closer to family. Now, Shuichi and Dabi and Toga, if they left, I think he might leave with them. But that's only if like they left in his group. And I want to know what you guys think, actually. What do you guys think of this week's chapter? I loved it. It just opened so many doors in my mind that could probably happen or possibly never happen. But either way, it's so much to think about, because this series, I really hope, lasts for so long, or not so long that it's like boring. It's like, but like, I want to see this world develop, see the heroes turn into adults and be super, or actually like All Might kind of heroes. And then Tomura being like one of the main villains versus the heroes. With this, I feel like there is going to be a clash between the villains and the students soon. But I definitely know that Tomura's most likely not getting captured. Maybe other characters may get captured, maybe they'll break out, because the villains still kind of want to get All for One out, and Stain, if you think about it, because we got Stain, the guy who is more or less the symbol of like some heroes turning to slight villainy, and or even altering their what am I trying to say? Their ethics, because during the practice exam, or the license exam, we actually find the one teacher. I'm guessing he is the Shiketsu High teacher. Like Miss Jokes is the Ketsubutsu and Aizawa Sensei is the UA high school teacher. I feel like this guy would be more inclined to know because of his students kind of acting like this. Now, I guess Kimi is a different story because she's actually Toga, but with this, like, students can be influenced. They're still young, they can be influenced by what they see on TV, which Stain was on TV. So there's a lot in this week's chapter and the past week's chapter that you could just try to like piece stuff together and try to think of ideas. Now, I really love this series. Who doesn't, who's watched this and actually enjoys kind of superhero stuff, as well as like it's just this wide world, well, small world, but wide world of small, where there's practically, at the very moment, we know there's 3 different high schools at least, that are superhero based in this town or city or Japan. Now with this, it's Shiketsu, Ketsubutsu, and Yue. Now with this, I really want to see more from this because you may have the sports festival, but then you may have some like other schools like going up against each other, like school battles, like how schools now in America, like football teams go up against each other. Maybe do something like that for the superhero schools because now we know Miss Jokes is going to have a training course with the UA class because she asked Daizuo Sensei about it. Most likely that's going to happen. Something with Shindo, which I feel like could lead to him being Dabi. But I'm going to pull that one all the time. I'm sorry, guys. But I want to know what you guys think. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't. Comment shut up if you wanted me to shut up even earlier. And I really hope you guys enjoy your nights or days. I hope you have a custom day or night. Thank you.